Ladies and gentlemen, in the quiet spaces between action and reaction lies the doorway to your true power. Today, we explore the art of non-reaction, a profound way of living that turns hurt into healing and conflict into clarity. There is a truth often overlooked. Pain is an inevitable part of the human experience, but suffering, that lingering echo of pain, is born from our reaction to it. When someone hurts us, the immediate impulse is to defend, attack, or retreat into bitterness. Yet if we pause, if we hold stillness like a flame within, we discover something extraordinary. We are not bound to react. Therefore, when they hurt you, let it not define you. Let it awaken you. Let it lead you deeper into the unshakable stillness that is your truest nature. This is the art of non-reaction. This is the path of true healing. Pain in this life is not something we can escape. From the moment we are born, vulnerability is stitched into the very fabric of our being. To love is to open ourselves to loss. To trust is to risk betrayal. To hope is to face disappointment. No matter how carefully we build our lives, no matter how much we try to insulate ourselves, pain will find its way to us, sometimes through circumstances, sometimes through the actions of others, and sometimes through the simple unfolding of life itself. Yet, while pain is inevitable, reaction is not. And here lies a profound and often overlooked freedom. While we cannot always prevent painful experiences from arising, we can choose how we relate to them. We can meet them with resistance, anger, bitterness, or we can meet them with awareness, with presence, with a silent strength that transforms the entire experience. When someone speaks a harsh word to us, for instance, we feel a sting. That initial pain, the tightness in the chest, the rush of heat, the quickening of the breath, is natural. It is simply the body and mind responding to a perceived threat or insult. But what happens next is where the real story begins. If we immediately lash back, either outwardly in words or inwardly through judgment and resentment, we compound the initial pain. We create a narrative around it, a story that we carry long after the original moment has passed. How dare they speak to me that way? I am always mistreated. People are cruel. These stories become wounds that we reopen again and again. However, if we notice the initial pain, if we simply allow it to exist without rushing to judgment or reaction, something remarkable happens. The pain arises, is felt fully, and then begins to dissolve. It leaves no scar, no heavy burden to carry. The situation passes through us like a wave, not a permanent scar etched into our identity. In that moment, by not reacting, we preserve our inner peace. We remain connected to something deeper than the shifting circumstances of life. This does not mean becoming passive, nor does it mean suppressing emotion. It means becoming conscious. Reaction is almost always unconscious, a knee-jerk, automatic behavior conditioned by our past experiences, our fears, our insecurities. To not react is to step out of that conditioned mind and to act, if action is needed, from a place of clarity and strength, not from the turbulence of pain. It is important to recognize that reaction often feels empowering in the moment. Anger can feel like strength. Retaliation can feel like reclaiming our dignity, yet the empowerment of reaction is short-lived and hollow. It leaves behind a residue of deeper dissatisfaction, a sense of disconnection from ourselves and others. True strength is quiet, spacious, and without the need to defend itself. When we realize that no one can truly diminish our inner being, we no longer feel compelled to react to every slight or injury. In every painful encounter, we are given a choice: to react or to respond from presence. Reacting is automatic. Responding consciously requires a pause, a sacred pause in which we feel the pain, acknowledge it, and choose not to be enslaved by it. In that pause, we align with a deeper intelligence within us, an intelligence that sees beyond the immediate drama, beyond the small self that craves validation or revenge. The path of non-reaction is not an easy one. It asks us to face the rawness of our emotions without flinching. It asks us to let go of the ego's need to be right, to win, to be avenged. It asks us to trust that our deepest worth is not in the hands of others, but rests securely in the unchanging ground of our own being. Over time, As we practice this way of being, we notice a profound shift. We become less easily disturbed by external events. We find that situations and people that once triggered intense reactions now touch us only lightly, like a breeze passing across the surface of a deep lake. We develop an inner resilience that is not born of hardness, but of softness, a softness rooted in the acceptance of life's impermanence and imperfection. Ultimately, pain will come and go, but it need not leave behind the heavy chains of suffering. In learning not to react, we discover the incredible truth that no one and nothing outside of us holds the key to our peace. The key has always been within us, waiting for us to turn it with a simple, powerful choice. To be aware, to be present, and to allow pain without allowing it to define us. Healing is not something that happens solely through the passage of time or through external remedies. True healing arises from within, from the quality of attention we bring to our pain, and from the depth of presence we embody as we move through it. Presence is the silent power that allows us to meet life exactly as it is, without fleeing from discomfort or clinging to fleeting moments of pleasure. It is in this meeting, in this full acceptance of the present moment, that genuine healing begins. Often when we are hurt, whether by a harsh word, a broken trust, or a sudden loss, our instinct is to turn away. We distract ourselves with busyness, drown the pain in noise, or cover it with layers of thought. Why did this happen to me? What should I have done differently? How can I prevent this from happening again? In doing so, we are not truly facing the pain. We are engaging with the mind's endless commentary about it. Presence is different. It invites us to be with the raw sensation of the hurt itself, without dressing it up in stories, without trying to fix or change it. To be present with our pain is to become the observer of it, rather than its prisoner. It is to feel the sadness, the anger, the fear, not by analysing them, but by allowing them to be fully and without resistance. It might seem counterintuitive. We have been conditioned to believe that if we allow painful emotions too much space, they will overwhelm or destroy us. But the truth is the opposite. When we give pain the open space of our full attention without judgment, it loses its grip. It moves, it shifts, it transforms. Imagine a wound on the body. If we cover it up and pretend it is not there, infection may set in. If we pick at it constantly, we prevent it from healing. But if we tend to it gently, cleanly, and allow it to breathe, it heals naturally. Emotional wounds are the same. Presence is the clean air that the soul's wounds need in order to heal. Presence does not mean suppressing our feelings, nor does it mean indulging them endlessly. It means observing them with a kind of sacred neutrality. You may notice a tightness in your chest, a heaviness in your belly, a lump in your throat. Stay with those sensations, feel them directly without interpreting them. Notice how they change, how they ebb and flow. Emotions, when given full attention, are like waves. They arise, crest and fall away. They are not as solid or permanent as the mind makes them seem. The act of being present with our pain teaches us an important lesson. We are not the pain itself. There is a deeper self, a vastness of being, that remains untouched, no matter what happens to the mind or body. When we connect with this deeper presence, we realize that while experiences come and go, there is something within us that remains steady, still, and whole. In this way, every moment of pain becomes an opportunity. It becomes a doorway through which we can deepen our relationship with ourselves. Rather than seeking healing from others, from apologies, from revenge, from external validation, we realize that the source of true healing has always been within. No one else can give us the peace that comes from simply being present with ourselves. Of course, this process requires patience and gentleness. Presence is not a technique to quickly get rid of pain. It is a way of being that honors the intelligence of life itself, trusting that healing happens naturally when we stop interfering with it. It asks us to slow down, to breathe, to sit with ourselves even when it is uncomfortable. Over time, presence becomes a refuge. Instead of being tossed around by every emotional storm, we find ourselves anchored in a deeper stillness. Pain may still arise. Life will continue to offer its challenges. But we are no longer so easily thrown off course. We meet life as it is, with an open heart and a steady gaze. Healing through presence is a return home, a remembering of who we are beyond the shifting contents of our experience. It is a movement away from struggle and toward surrender, not a passive surrender, but an active embrace of the reality that is here now. In that embrace, we find that what we once thought would break us has instead deepened us, opened us, and connected us more intimately with the very essence of life itself. True power is not loud. It is not found in domination, in quick retaliation, or in the assertion of control over others. True power is silent, steady, and rooted in the ability to remain unmoved by the shifting winds of external events. Non-reaction is one of the clearest signs of such power. It is the ability to remain inwardly free even when circumstances tempt us to lose ourselves in anger, fear, or defensiveness. In most human interactions, especially those charged with conflict or hurt, there is an expectation, often unconscious, that we will react. Someone insults you, and they expect you to defend yourself or to counterattack. Someone disappoints you, and they expect resentment or blame. Reaction is a cycle that perpetuates suffering, passing it from one person to another like an infectious flame. But non-reaction extinguishes that flame. When we do not react, we break the cycle. We stand as a quiet witness to the unfolding drama, without adding our own fuel to the fire. To practice non-reaction is not to suppress our emotions or to pretend that we are unaffected. It is to acknowledge the emotions, to feel them, but not to allow them to take over our actions or our state of being. In that moment of awareness, we realize that while emotions arise within us, we are not bound to act them out. There is a space between stimulus and response, and in that space lies our freedom. This space is precious. It is the place where consciousness lives. In that space, we can observe our inner state, the quickening heart, the tightening muscles, the rush of angry thoughts. We can witness them without becoming them. Non-reaction does not deny the reality of our feelings. It honors them by seeing them clearly and choosing to respond from a deeper wisdom rather than from an unconscious pattern. In a world that often confuses reactivity with strength, non-reaction may seem passive or weak, yet it is anything but. It takes tremendous inner strength to remain present and still in the face of provocation. It requires a groundedness, a sense of self that is not dependent on the approval, praise, or blame of others. It is much easier to lash out than to remain silent and conscious. It is much easier to defend the fragile ego than to allow a hurtful comment to pass through us like a wave through open air. Every time we practice non-reaction, we affirm that our peace is not negotiable. We silently declare that the world may act as it will, but we will not surrender our inner clarity. We do not give our power away to every passing emotion, every careless word, every unfair situation. We stand firm, not out of stubbornness, but out of deep alignment with our own being. This does not mean we become cold or indifferent. Non-reaction arises not from detachment, but from profound connection to the deeper currents of life that run beneath the surface turmoil. When needed, we can still act. We can still speak truth, set boundaries, make necessary changes. But we do so not from a place of blind reaction, but from conscious intention. Our actions, when rooted in non-reaction, carry a different quality, a calm authority, a strength that does not need to prove itself. The power of non-reaction also transforms our relationships. When we no longer meet aggression with aggression, when we no longer mirror unconsciousness with more unconsciousness, we create space for healing. Sometimes, simply by refusing to react, we invite others to meet us in a new way. We offer them, and ourselves, the possibility of a different outcome. To live in the power of non-reaction is to move through life with a deep, unshakable center. It is to know that while we cannot control the actions of others, we have full sovereignty over our own inner state. This is the real meaning of empowerment. It is not found in controlling circumstances, but in mastering ourselves. Each moment offers us a choice. Will we react and be pulled into the chaos of the world, or will we remain rooted in our presence, allowing the winds of life to blow around us without disturbing the stillness within. Non-reaction is not the absence of feeling. It is the presence of something greater than feeling. It is the presence of being itself, vast, silent, and infinitely powerful. When pain arises within us, our first instinct is often to resist it. We label it, judge it, try to get rid of it, or distract ourselves from it. Yet strangely, the more we resist pain, the more it persists. It lingers, taking deeper root within our being, often transforming into long-term emotional suffering. Awareness offers a different path, a quieter, more profound way of meeting pain. In the light of pure awareness, hurt cannot survive in the same way. It softens, it changes, it dissolves. Awareness is not something complicated or distant. It is the simple, natural ability to notice what is happening inside and around us without immediately rushing to interpret, judge, or fix it. It is the clear seeing of what is, without the heavy filters of past conditioning. When we bring this kind of open, gentle attention to our hurt, we create space around it. Instead of being consumed by the emotion, we become the space in which the emotion is allowed to exist. Imagine holding a block of ice in the warmth of your hand. Slowly, without any effort to change it, the ice melts. The warmth does not attack the ice, nor does it analyze it. It simply allows it to be, and in that allowing, transformation happens naturally. Hurt, when held in the warm embrace of awareness, undergoes a similar process. We do not need to force healing. We need only to be fully present with what is alive in us. This presence is not passive. It is deeply alive, deeply intelligent. As we turn toward our hurt with awareness, we begin to notice its true nature. We may find that what seemed like overwhelming pain is, in fact, made up of changing sensations, a tightness here, a pressure there, a trembling somewhere else. These sensations are not static. They move, shift, and often diminish simply by being seen. Without the fuel of unconscious resistance, hurt cannot maintain its form for long. Most of our suffering is not actually caused by the initial pain itself, but by the stories we build around it. This should not have happened. I am broken because of this. They ruined my life. These thoughts attach themselves to the pain and feed it. Awareness gently exposes these stories for what they are. Mental constructions, not truths. It allows us to experience the raw emotion without the heavy narrative that usually accompanies it. In this way, awareness brings clarity where there was confusion, peace where there was turmoil. One of the most beautiful aspects of awareness is its unconditional nature. It does not pick and choose what to accept. It does not say, I will only pay attention to pleasant feelings and I will reject the unpleasant ones. The true awareness embraces everything equally. Joy, sorrow, anger, fear, all are held with the same tenderness. In that unconditional acceptance, the parts of ourselves we have long rejected begin to feel safe enough to reveal themselves fully. Hurt that's been buried deep within us comes to the surface, not to cause more suffering, but to be healed by the light of our presence. At first, this process can feel uncomfortable. We are so used to running away from our pain that turning toward it can seem frightening. Yet, with gentle persistence, we come to see that the pain itself is not as frightening as our avoidance of it. Often, what we fear is not the feeling itself, but our thoughts about the feeling. The fear that it will overwhelm us, define us, or last forever. Awareness shows us that no emotion, no matter how intense, is permanent. Everything that arises eventually passes away. In time, this way of being cultivates a deep inner trust. We realize that we are not fragile beings who must be protected from every hurt. We are vast, resilient, and capable of holding the full range of human experience without being broken by it. Hurt may still arise, but it no longer has the power to dominate our lives. It becomes just another wave on the surface of the ocean, unable to disturb the stillness of the depths. Thus, through awareness, we move from being victims of our hurt to being compassionate witnesses to it. We stop battling our inner world and start living in harmony with it. In this space of non-resistance, hurt loses its sharp edges and gradually dissolves, leaving behind a clearer, lighter, freer sense of being. There is a subtle but profound truth that life teaches us again and again. The more tightly we cling to pain, resentment and judgment, the more deeply we suffer. And yet, when we dare to let go, even just a little, we discover a freedom that no external circumstance can give or take away. Freedom does not come from changing the world to fit our desires. It comes from releasing the inner grip we have on how we believe things should be. Letting go is often misunderstood. It does not mean pretending that hurtful events never happened. It does not mean denying the impact they had on us. True letting go is not about forgetting. It is about choosing not to carry the burden of the past into the present moment. It is a conscious decision to set down the heavy weight of resentment, blame, and the need for revenge. In doing so, we reclaim our energy, our attention, and our lives. When we hold on tightly to past hurts, we tie ourselves to the very things that wounded us. We replay conversations in our minds. We imagine different outcomes. We build entire inner worlds around our pain. In doing so, we allow what hurt us once to continue hurting us long after the original event has passed. Letting go is the act of stepping out of this endless cycle. It is the realization that we do not have to stay trapped in the stories of what went wrong. We can choose a different story. Or better yet, we can choose no story at all, just the simple, open reality of now. Letting go is not something we do once. It is a practice, a path. Each time we notice ourselves clinging to an old anger, a familiar grievance, a cherished identity as a victim, we are invited to soften, to loosen our grip, to surrender. Sometimes this surrender feels like a small, almost imperceptible shift. Other times it feels like a great release, like a dam breaking open. But in every case, it brings with it a sense of lightness, a glimpse of the spaciousness that has been available to us all along. One of the reasons letting go is so challenging is because the mind believes that by holding on, we are protecting ourselves. If we keep our pain alive, we imagine we are safeguarding our dignity, maintaining our sense of rightness, ensuring that justice will be served. But this is an illusion. In reality, clinging to pain only ensures that we remain bound to the past. It prevents us from fully inhabiting the present, where all true healing, or real life, actually occurs. Letting go is an act of profound self-love. It is saying to ourselves, I choose my peace over this grievance. I choose my freedom over this wound. I choose to live fully rather than to be defined by what has hurt me. It is an acknowledgement that we are worthy of a life unburdened by the chains of resentment and sorrow. There is great humility in letting go. It means admitting that we do not control the actions of others, that we cannot force the world to be fair according to our ideas of fairness. It is a surrender to the reality that life is unpredictable, imperfect, and often inexplicable. But it is precisely in this surrender that we find strength. We are no longer at war with life. We become aligned with its natural flow, which always moves toward renewal, growth, and healing. Freedom through letting go does not mean we lose our discernment. We still see clearly. We can still set boundaries, speak our truth, and act when necessary. But we do so without the heavy armor of past pain. Our actions become cleaner, more compassionate, more effective. We move from a place of love and clarity, not from fear or woundedness. Ultimately, letting go is an invitation to trust that whatever has happened, however painful, it does not diminish who we are. To trust that we are spacious enough, resilient enough, and wise enough to live without clinging to the past. To trust that in releasing our grip, we are not losing anything essential. We are returning to our natural state of openness, joy, and peace. In the stillness that follows letting go, we glimpse the truth. We were never really trapped by what happened to us. We were only trapped by our resistance to it. And when that resistance dissolves, what remains is the vast, unshakable freedom of simply being. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of our time together, remember this simple but profound truth. Pain is inevitable in this life, but suffering is optional. They may hurt you, but you have within you the art, the power, the grace to heal, not by fighting, not by resisting, but by awakening. Through presence, through the stillness of non-reaction, through the quiet dissolving light of awareness, and through the sacred act of letting go, you step into a freedom that no one can give you and no one can take away. You become the space in which hurt transforms into wisdom, where wounds open into compassion, and where every moment, no matter how difficult, becomes an invitation to return home to yourself. Healing is not something you have to achieve. It is something that naturally reveals itself when you no longer obstruct it. In this presence, in this profound allowing, you are already whole. So the next time life offers you pain, do not rush to defend yourself or to retaliate. Instead, pause. Breathe. Feel the life within you. In that pause, you will find that the deepest power is not in reaction, but in presence. And from that presence, you will heal. And in healing yourself, you quietly help to heal the world. Thank you.